serious? What was something you saw you were definitely not supposed to see? Bad stuff. I saw a car get shot up one time. Good stuff. Discovering poorly hidden Christmas and birthday presents. Won a used laptop from my female friend in a bet. She had a bunch of nudes on it. I do conventions and corporate events for a living. Was once called into a room to fix a power cable. It was a meeting of a worldwide well-known house paint manufacturer. It was a closed-door meeting and I had to be let in to do my job quickly. They didn't stop talking as I did my work. We've pulled all the units from production and recalled all units on the shelves. But the ones still in transit cannot be recalled. They might be caught when they reach the sales floor if the retailers are still watching the recall. But it will have been weeks since we issued it. The guy who then responds to that states that they can prove they did their diligence in court with the recall and any units sold to consumers will be the retailer's fault. I never did get to hear what the recall was for, but they seemed pretty tense over it. Legally speaking. So I doubt it was quality control. I felt like I had witnessed the mafia talking about a murder. Dude robbed a gas station. I was riding my bike in the back, saw him take off his mask and get in a car. We made eye contact. I turned my head and acted like I didn't see anything. Hard drive failed on my dad's computer. The data recovery software did a pretty good job really. But I could have done without it recovering nude and amp lingerie shots of the various women he's been banging behind my mother's back over the years. I used to work in the basement of a pretty large hospital doing engineering work. They'll often cart dead bodies out of the hospital through the basement, so it's usually not a big deal. You just tend to try and ignore it. One time as I was finishing up a test in a pretty remote room, I walked out to an entire security detail escorting a body. I just got immediately shoved back into the room, so nothing really exciting happened, but I always wonder who that could have been. When I was a young teen, I was once leaving my house to go do something in the neighborhood. As soon as I got out of the door, I heard my parents at the garage. My mother seemed to be in her car. And my father was sitting down behind her car and pleading with her not to leave. My parents were divorcing. And I saw a few scenes that I wish I never had. Not really horrific. But seeing your parents in emotional pain can be rough. The code to open all the doors in my primary school at the time. A lot of power to open any locked door for an 8-year-old. I saw my mom giving my dad a blowjob, but it was on a video on his phone. The salaries of everyone working at the company I was working at, it was a smaller startup digital ad agency with about 60 employees total. And someone from HR was making copies of a document that listed everyone's salary and left the original on the glass of the copier. I found it and turned it back in. But not before I went through that list to see what everyone else made. And discovered that a couple new hires working the same position as me were making more than me. So after turning it in, I met with my manager and used my newfound knowledge to my advantage to successfully negotiate for a raise, along with a tacit promise that I wouldn't divulge what I knew to anyone else in the company. My third job I had, at 17, was at a pizza place. I had 2 managers. One male, one female. And they were both married to other people. Well, I went to hand in my drawer at the end of one shift and walked into the office, and there they were just making out with some heavy petting. Their spouses found out. They left their families. And then those 2 managers got married to each other. As far as I know, they are still together. I came home from working my second job to my now ex-wife having sex with some guy in our house. I most definitely was not supposed to see my sister's abortion paperwork. 20 years after. In a box in her old closet at the family home. Her business. I'll never ask her about it. The owner of the club where my sister worked took an armload of shotguns out of his truck. It was about 3 AM and I was parked behind the bar waiting for her. The reason I know he didn't mean anyone to see is because he covered them with a tarp and he gave a good long stare around when he got out. Shady FR. He was up to every kind of no good. I literally scrunched down in my seat. I saw my birthday present in advance. I hated it. And wasn't sure whether to tell my girlfriend as much. In the end I just used my advance notice to practice a good genuinely surprised and grateful reaction. We broke up a few months later because we had so little in common. I've since learned that honesty tends to work better if you want a relationship to work long term. A woman using a sink as a bidet. A guy taking a sh under a bridge. What really freaked me out is that he probably walked around the rest of the day smelling vaguely of sh. I still think about it sometimes. My eldest sister and her BFFing. That's how I got my tickets to see Endgame. Share the house with my parents. Got a letter from my ISP for illegal downloading. The letter named the title. It was Gangbang PRN. Had to tell my 70-year-old dad that I knew. And how to find free PRN online. Happened when I was 7. I found the Tom and Jerry DVD I had lost. In the back of a drawer. In celebration. I decided to watch it again. By the time my mother walked into the living room and saw me watching a threesome, I was already scarred for life. She took away the entire DVD collection. My supervisor plowing an operator in the ass in the work showers. He just looked at me. Then looked back at dude's head and started going for broke. I left. None of us ever acted like it happened. My brother accidentally once sent me a dick pic that was, I assume, supposed to go to one of his girlfriends. We've never spoken about it. And I'm fortunate enough to have aphantasia so I can't form mental images. The 0.3 seconds it took for me to delete it off my phone also deleted it from my brain. We had this yearly festival at my school when I was in middle school. I was at one of the game tents with my friends and I saw the teen worker not so subtly hand another teen worker a bag of white powder. It happened pretty fast and no one else saw it, so I was kind of confused if I saw what I thought I saw. My friend told me the following Monday that our teacher caught the kids doing drugs after the festival. My mom gave me an old laptop of hers when I was about 13 and I was scrolling through random pics she had left on it of my little brother's football games and then boom. Nudes of my mother. My camp counselor's penis. Lock the bathroom door, buddy. I was 14 and on a walk with my mom. We were walking around a lake and decided to take a woodsy shortcut rather than having to walk out onto a state roads. The shortcut, like I said, is woodsy. But there's still some lake cabins and a dirt road back there. Anyways. We're going through on the dirt road and there is a car parked in the middle of it. Not particularly close to any of the cabins. As we pass it by, we glance in the windows out of curiosity and see a 20-something girl and guy effing in the back seat. When my mom realizes this, she quickly pushes me on ahead. Which bummed me because I wanted to be a dick and tap on the window and wave hello with a big grin. My sister, being raw dogged by her boyfriend, burst into her room because we'd gotten home early and I wanted to say hello. I was 7 or 8 at the time. One time when I was around 9 years old, I woke up to take a leak in the middle of the night. I saw that the TV was still on in my parents' room through the tiny opening in their bedroom door. My bathroom's near my parents' room. I went to check up on them. And when I opened the door, my god, I can never erase what I saw. I saw my mom on the edge of the bed and my dad eating her out with all his might. I literally said, "Mama?" And they didn't even hear me because they were so into it. So I just ran quickly back to my room. I remember the next morning, during breakfast, I asked my mom if there's any more juice left and she said, "There's no more. Your dad has the last cup of juice." And then my dad said, "You can drink the rest of it if you want." He offered his cup of juice to me and I looked at the rim of the cup and already felt sick to my stomach. I'm 20 now and I still can't believe I remember seeing that. TLDR, saw my dad going to town on my mom in the middle of the night. When I was 17, my friend lent me her phone to see her pictures. She forgot the nudes she had took for draw herself. I had a crush on her so I couldn't ignore them and just said wow. She was by my side so I could saw her face turning red. My principal bribed off an inspector and he saw me see him. We made eye contact for 10 seconds and I didn't say anything. No one knows. Millions being deleted from the accounting software and books being reprinted without those money so that the company wouldn't get a fine for tax evasion. Or go bankrupt, I guess. I was the one in charge of doing it and I couldn't tell anyone what I was working on for 2 weeks. I was young and I didn't know better. F those guys. A bit boring. But I found an engagement ring in a closet 6 months before my boyfriend popped the question. In those 6 months I kept going back to the closet to put the ring on my finger and admire it.